This is a very different video because in this video I'll be giving you a complete raw look into all of my brands. I wanted to give you some more kind of depth as to how I built my brands, what I did to scale them. So essentially this is going to be a case study on how I scaled two of my largest brands to this day. I've just sold them also, which is really exciting, something I've been working on for a while. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting for you. This is going to be a lot more of a raw format, so I'll just do this as we go, talk about everything that pops into my mind about the different time periods and try to educate you simultaneously. We need to go a bit back in time. This was in August 2021. My very first brand ever was called Knowledge Canvas. Now I ran that brand for around 5 months. It did okay. It was a bit profitable, but it taught me, as you guys have heard a couple of times, to optimize on every single thing, every single aspect of business. And so in the summer, I chose to pivot to Denmark. I've also told you about this, but I haven't really told you exactly what I did with Scandinavian Rest, which was my first profitable brand. And honestly, it's changed my entire life, which is incredible to say. But as you can see, I launched it in August 2021. I came up with the idea of weighted blankets using the method I will tell you guys about, which I call Open Your Eyes. And basically, this is all about being aware of your surroundings and the space. So I had heard of a very large brand in the US doing well with weighted blankets. I was scrolling on Twitter, and then a tweet popped up telling a story about how a couple of guys, they had done an incredible job with weighted blankets. Then I actually asked my mom, because my mom works at Danish government in a position where she kind of supplies these type of products like weighted blankets to certain citizens with diseases or certain illnesses or disorders. And I asked her, well, why isn't that I have never heard of weighted blankets if people say they are this good? And she told me, well, we use them all the time. I'm not sure why you haven't heard about them, Nikolai, but we use them all the time and they work. And so I thought to myself, that's quite interesting if we've got a product here that actually works and it's very large in another market. So I got to the keyboard and I did some research. I couldn't find anyone selling weighted blankets in Denmark that were doing a good job. The only guys on the market that I could find was Hugt.dk. At the time, their store was a lot different. Now they've probably copied Scandinavian Rest and me a bit, but at the time, the store wasn't that great. I don't think it's that great still, but more importantly, the ads weren't great and the Trustpilot reviews weren't that great at the time. So I did some more research and then I found out who the owner was, and I saw that he had actually bragged a couple of times about all of the success he had had with this brand. And I thought to myself, well, if he can have that success with this brand, with all that room for optimization, what could I do, honestly? So I did some more research and I found out that like they were doing 500,000 Danish kroner a month, which, well, I just knew it would be possible to do a lot more. That's around like 70,000 euros a month. So I started. I grabbed a lot of content from a supplier on Alibaba. I just went onto the site, found the product. I ordered a few products home and I started making content. What I actually did for the very first ad, that was very fun. So let me show you. So here we are in the Scandinavian Rest folder. It's quite large, but let's go into the ads. And what I did for my very first ad was I made one like this. I basically just got a YouTube video of a guy in the US reviewing a weighted blanket. I downloaded it and then I cropped it together using the editing skills I had. I added our logo up in the corner. As you can see, at the time it was called Scandinavian Vibe. I then later changed to Scandinavian Rest when I found proof of concept. Because on this store, on this domain, this was actually the third product I just tested, but I thought it was very interesting. So I made this video. Basically, I just spoke in over the video with my very immature voice, tried to explain all about the features and benefits. So I did that and I launched. It performed incredibly. And so I thought to myself, as you probably did while you saw that video, if that video performs well, what happens when we make great videos? And so I did. So I tried optimizing it. I even made another video like this. This is my body, but I cropped my head off because I didn't want anyone to see that I was running this brand.
Det her er tyngdedynen fra Scandinavian Rest. En tyngdedyne, den går ind og beroliger nervesystemet.
This is so fun to me because initially I made this video where the brand was called Scandinavian Vibe. And so you can actually here try to edit that I would say Scandinavian Rest instead of Scandinavian Vibe right here. It was a mess, but it worked. And I was just doing my best. Just a second, it's right here. Yeah, so I tried to do a video like this and I added this at the end because I thought it looked sick. Slow-mo. What a bad ad, honestly, but it worked and I continued reinvesting. What I quickly did then was I got a bunch of influencers. I just thought, okay, let's pump this out to as many influencers we possibly could. And then I found one of our best ads to date. All of these ads, we launched them in August, and then in September, I found the ad that was performing very well. So this is in August we're in right now. And we did 28,000 krona in the first month. But I found this ad and it performed so well. We have probably generated 10 million Danish kroner from this single ad. So this is very basic. Just a person. I added subtitles to it later and our logo in the bottom. I just couldn't find it. And that was our winning ad. But it's very basic. It's raw. It's non-edited. And it's just a woman in the target audience who's speaking very authentic about the product. And it performed so well. She ended up saying a lot of good stuff in the video about features, benefits, and we scaled to the moon with that video. I, of course, continued reinvesting into more influencers like Johanna here and Stine, a lot of different stuff. But this video did a lot for us. So in September, we did 170,000 krona, October 131. We actually paused our ads here because, well, we didn't have the stock at all to keep up. And what I did for the very first orders, which was a complete nightmare because I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to actually get this brand up and running because, well, I didn't have much capital and the minimum order quantity for this product was quite large. Therefore, I just knew it would be a complete struggle ordering a bunch of orders home at the time. So I thought, well, what the hell can I do? And then I started searching everywhere online until I found on Amazon Germany. And I figured out that they could actually ship to Denmark. And so I searched for weighted blanket. You can even see it's already here. And I found a very cheap weighted blanket. I think it's actually this one. And I then actually dropshipped this to the customers. Now, some customers got mad. Some customers got very happy. It was a mix. I was trying to do my very best on the customer service part. But I would manually, one by one, go in, add to basket, enter the customer's details, orders, and then ship it. It was a complete nightmare. But I did it and it worked. But in October, I knew, okay, I had to order something home. So I paused our ads because, well, at this point also our Trustpilot was going down and I knew I have to take this serious. This was a golden opportunity. So I paused our ads and I launched them again in November, where we did 300,000 krona. Continued scaling because we got some stock here. December, we did 446,000 krona. And I remember this was the point of time where I thought, what the hell is going on? This is just taking off like nothing I've ever seen. I think, honestly, I've always kind of felt that this is probably the top. It has just always beat itself in terms of what's possible. Across our total revenue, across all brands that I've been working on, we are almost just still to this day beating it on a month-to-month basis. Every month, getting a higher revenue across all brands than we did the month before, which is incredible. I feel so fortunate. So December, January, then a slight dip in February, but we continued scaling a lot here. In May, we hit our first 1 million Danish krona revenue month, which was incredible. And I was actually making a lot of money here, as you can imagine. This was the first time in my life I saw that amount of money, but I kept reinvesting everything. I just felt like this was such a golden opportunity to scale this brand to the moon, and I knew I would get such a large return of investment. Yeah, spending all capital on a brand instead of putting it out to myself for a silly salary. We invested a lot in this period into making the brand more professional. I got my first ever photo shoot, which was fun. Let me show you the images. They were actually quite bad. I just found a person on Fiverr. I didn't know what to do because I wanted to do it very lean. So these were actually the images I launched with. This was our first product image, but then we got our own content. This was the first time where I really felt like, okay, we've almost got a brand here. So I got these images made, which they are fine, but they definitely aren't that great either. But yes, we got these images. I love this image. We've used this for a lot of ads and our previous hero for the site. And he actually made a couple of more shoots for us, this guy, just because he was so cheap. And you can always reinvest into content to kind of increase that perceived value. I also went to a photographer to get some professional product images shot, as you can see here. Very high quality this time. Very, very high quality. So this was a success, definitely. So I kept reinvesting, improving the site, getting logos added to the products, all that kind of stuff, branding it just like I teach you guys in Scaling with Ecom. And we kept scaling. And this was actually a very interesting point in my life because in June 2022, I was on vacation. My parents had planned a trip to the US for a very long time, and I had an extremely difficult time saying no to that, because I just love spending time with my family, because I know time in general is limited. On the other hand, I knew I had this golden opportunity with Scandinavian Rest to scale it to the moon. So what would I do? I almost had a crisis about it. I chose in these months, the trip was around 2 months in total, from summer started to I would be home and back to work at 100%. But I chose during this period to write down a list of all the most important things I ever did in the business. And I made a list of them, all the things I did on a daily basis, and then I ranked them from 1 to 10 on the most important task. I chose during this period to only focus on the top 1 and 2 most important tasks. For me at the time, it was testing new creatives and managing our ad account, which is actually almost the same. So that was all I was focusing on in this period, and things took off. In June, you can see we did 1.2 million Danish kroner. In July, we almost 2x'd. We almost did 2 million Danish kroner. In August, we did 3 million Danish kroner. So imagine this time for me. I felt on top of the world, honestly. It was so sick to see. So a small dip in September, October, then in November, boom, almost 5 million Danish kroner in 1 month. So sick, so sick. And the brand has continued. But to me, this is the most interesting period, because this is when I scaled the brand. I built it up from nothing, really. And one of the crucial things we did was, really reinvesting a lot into content, and also building out a lot of these funnels that I'll teach you about later in Scaling With Ecom. We also, of course, got our 3PL. We tried to launch in other countries internationally. You can even see this is the logo here. I tried to do all kind of stuff. I tried to do an animation myself. So just... This is terrible, of course, but I was just doing all kind of stuff to try and, on a lean way, make the brand better. But then in March 2022, around like 8 months or something, after I had launched Scandinavian Rest, I got the idea to launch yet another brand, because I was so hungry. And in the beginning, when you're launching a brand, you've actually got time for having multiple brands. In the beginning, that is. Now I don't have time for anything. But in the beginning, you don't have that much work to do. You have to spend like 3 or 4 hours, perhaps even 5 hours a day optimizing on a brand. But once you've done that, well, in the beginning, there isn't that much else to do. So I chose, I've got more time on my hand, but I want even larger results. So I launched a new brand. That was Fine Smile. The story about how I found this product was, at the time, my mom actually tapped me on the shoulder, because she gained an interest from Alibaba as a platform, because I told her all about that people use Alibaba as a product sourcing platform. And she just tapped me on the shoulder and she told me, look at this toothbrush here, it looks incredible. And this was actually the image she showed us. I thought, okay, that's weird. I definitely don't want to sell toothbrushes. It's way too saturated, I thought. But then I got into the good old habit of thinking, Nikolai, shut up. The data is the judge here, and the data decides whether this product works or not. So I tested it. This was our logo at the time. We later changed it, because this was something we just very quickly made to then launch. I think we launched within 1 week almost. So we launched, things took off once again. But a very important point with Fine Smile, which I want to share with you, is for the first 1 to 2 weeks, I wasn't sure if I was going to continue with this product, because in these weeks, it was just around continuously at a 2 ROAS, 2.2. That's not too great. I'll teach you all about the ROAS later. But when you get back to this video, you know, that isn't that impressive. So I thought, that's strange. Perhaps this isn't that great, but still it was a bit profitable. So I just wanted to give it time. And then just slowly, 1 week after the other, it slowly gained momentum. And I've thought to myself that many times, wow, I was on the edge of killing that product before it became a great brand. I think that's a great lesson for you guys as well. If you've got a product that is profitable and it is just continuing to be right on the edge of unprofitable, the results aren't great, but it is on the edge of being profitable, then continue running it. Because chances are, when you reinvest a bit more into content and the product gains momentum, the Facebook pixel becomes better, then it will take off. So this is what we did for this product, and it worked. One thing that pushed this brand to the moon was this ad here, which is very funny, because basically I just got the toothbrush at home, and then I pulled up my iPhone and I shot a video. I added our new logo, which you can see up here, Fine Smile. This is it. So just comparing it to a regular toothbrush and then doing an unboxing, telling about the features. So this is in my childhood room. All about the features, the benefits, that kind of stuff. This is a great lesson for you guys as well. You can get so far with filming things on your own, but putting in an effort. And this isn't really that great, which I hope you can see. but it performed. This ad is one of, if not the all-time very best ad for Find Smile, which I even can't believe because we've spent that much on content. But there's something that's authentic about this video, and there's something, well, the social engagement it also got in the early days, it was incredible. So we scaled it very fast as well. And keep in mind, as I just told you, in June, I was on vacation with my parents, and yeah, well, look at that. 342,000 krona in June. July, it almost 2x'd as well. So keep in mind, Scandinavian Rest 2x'd every month, but Find Smile also did. So I was thinking, what the hell is going on here? This is absolutely taking off. Then August, 889,000 krona. 1 million, 1.9 million Danish krona almost, which is, yeah, incredible once again. So we scaled this very fast as well, and we continued reinvesting into content, making the brand better. We got an exclusivity agreement on the product. We did that early around this point of time, which was crucial to us because I know there are some guys in Denmark who tried stealing the product. Luckily for us, we got that exclusivity agreement, and that just once again goes to show how crucial it is. In December, I was very hungry as well, so I launched Find Smile Sweden. Now let's take a look at those numbers. That's not true, I launched it in October, but take a look at this launch. Month 1, 147,000 kroner. Month 2, 747,000. Month 3, 1 million Swedish krona. This was the first time in my life I had ever gotten to that scale, ever. It was so crazy to me. But what this also resulted in, which you can see from some of these graphs, is that, and these are also some of my older brands. I've built new since then, but for some of these brands, this was the time where I got really busy, really busy. I had a very difficult time keeping up with all of the pressure here, all of the momentum. After all, I had built 3-4 very large brands within the time span of 6 to 10 months. I was doing my best trying to build the team around it, but also I had a huge pressure on my shoulders here because this was the first time I was dealing with such a large business. With that said, this is the story about how we launched it in Sweden. We then also launched in Norway with great results, in Germany and across the entirety of Europe with great results. We continued to do a lot of different content. Slowly, we added in new products as well. I always want to add complementary products to the stores when they've proved themselves, and that's what we did with our teeth whitening products. We added this V34, which you've perhaps seen from the brand High Smile. They've become very large on it, so we added that also. I actually just photoshopped our logo onto this myself. Added a bunch of different products, also some coal, teeth whitening strips, teeth whitening kits. Just built out the brand to where it is today. So I think that's the brief overview of my brands here. I think this is perhaps interesting stuff for you guys. Of course, we should also take a look at the ad account itself, but because a lot of gold is in the ad account. The old ad accounts for these brands is actually disabled right now because the ads are now running on a separate ad account due to a totally different reason. Let me show you the old ad account where you can see how we launched and scaled. So here we are in the ads manager for Scandinavian Rest. Now let's try to go in at maximum. All right, so we have on this account deleted a lot of stuff because there is often a maximum ads limit. With that said, we can still find a bunch of our high-performing content. These are different interests. You can see the one we spent the most at is this broad one. Performed quite well for us at the time. 142 ROAS. Of course, the attribution isn't that great here. I always use triple whale for my brands, but let's jump into it. And then you can see some of our best ads. Here it is, the ad with Sanne. That performed so well. I think we got 1 million+ views on this video, which is just mind-blowing. It performs so well. This is the copy. Basically just says, do you need a better sleep? One of the ads that I made when I was in the US, and this had a very large contributing factor to, well, the scale in those months, it was this ad right here. A very large copy about all the features of a weighted blanket, and then these 4 features about the product. And I recommend each and every single one of you to use this when you're testing a product. Please use an ad like this where the product is on a white background and you just simply put 3 or 4 arrows to the product about its features. It works so well because when I found this ad, I implemented it on all of my brands and it performed so well on all of them. This is to me one of the best evergreen ads that I've ever come up with, and we scaled so far with it. I think honestly 15 million krona in revenue can be attributed to this one ad. We also did very well with this ad actually, a UGC from this profile here. So we got access to this profile. As you can see, this is our whitelisting, and then just a hook about her sleeping with the blanket, and she was talking all about the blanket. This performed well. This performed very well for us as well. We always try to find people in the target group. This one has performed well for us also. All kind of different stuff. But what's perhaps interesting for you to see as well, how did we launch? So let me try to show you here. As you saw, we launched first in around August. So some campaigns here are deleted, but nevertheless, you can see some of the first results we had. Boom, down here. And you see a solid ROAS here. Plus 45 performed well for us. Let's see it ads in here. Here you can see all of the old ads, the good old ads that I spoke about. I launched with these 5 ads. Absolutely terrible, but let me show you. This one, just a picture and a text. This one, probably the worst ad I've ever made. I also just found a video on YouTube and tried to do a speak over it. An image from our supplier. Boom. Then this one, which I showed you already. And then this one actually, which is kind of like the Find Smile home video I made, where I went out in our garden and back at my parents' home and tried to, make a video about the blanket. Yeah, so this is that one. And then we just slowly started investing more into other contents. As you can see, very rapidly, got a bunch of new interesting ads. This one performed very well for us. Just a random influencer I found on Instagram. I just wrote to her, well, would you like to help us make a video? So she got the blanket for free. You can see we started scaling with a bunch of different ad sets, but this one performed well for us. Some solid numbers. Then in October, 10,000 kroner ad spent. This is where we paused some of the ads. We got some new ads as well. You can see we got Klaus. He did very well for us also. Finally a male. In the beginning I only used females because I thought that was the target group, but we wanted to extend it. He's very authentic as well. Did a great job. As you can see, Sanne is down here and you'll slowly see starting that video. I think perhaps that's in this ad set becoming just an absolute winner. Perhaps it's probably not in this ad set because she was our very best video at the time. You can see Klaus here performed very well for us. This was in November. We spend much more than this, of course. Some campaigns have been deleted. But yeah, you get the point, I think. So let's go to Find Smile, see how I launched that. So let's take a look. All right, so we launched with the step 1 here. I'm not sure why the agency calls it that. I think that's wrong, but yeah. Let them do what they want. So as you can see, still to this day, look at 2 most profitable ads here. One is the own ad that I've showed you. It was our best ad at all time. And then we also had this one. The one with the 4 features performed very well also. Then we had this one, an influencer UGC type video, just a person talking about the toothbrush. This one has performed very well also from one of our whitelisting pages. All kind of different stuff, but these are definitely our 3 best ads for Find Smile at all time. With that said, let's see how things went when we launched. As you know, we launched in March. Spent almost 10,000 Danish kroner. This is what we launched with. So I remember this one was our best one for a long time. But now I've unfortunately deleted the ads in here because, well, we reached our ad limit. Luckily in here you can see them. So in April we continued, 13,000 in our top funnel. And you can just clearly see what worked. We even made a new version of the own ad. I got some help from my mom here because I thought it would be great getting like female look. Yeah, very basic. May. Did some solid numbers as well. Once again, I think unfortunately some campaigns have been deleted from in here. Nevertheless, it's still interesting for you to see, I think. In July, as you know, we scaled quite a bit. Overall B, and this was a stacked interest that we did, performed well. You can see these are just still our best performing ads. These kind of basic videos. We also did an image down here, which have performed well for us. Like this, very nice, just the solution on white teeth, it says on the top, and then 3 different features. I like these kind of ads very much also. So we continued. You can see then the 4 feature ad in August, same time as the Scandinavian wrist ad, just took off. So it just outperformed everything else, and I think it looks so sick. So with that said, I really hope you gained some value out of this video, getting a in-depth look on all of my brands, all we've done with them. It was very fun for me to take a step back memory lane. Let me know if you want some more info like this and all about, my history. So see you in the next module.